All right, it's officially recording. All right, welcome to the Hometown Huddle podcast. This is our first episode. We're going to introduce you guys to us here, but kind of to introduce our podcast, we are a family from a small town in Washington called Royal City, and we're all really into football. I don't know the best way to say our relationship with the game of football, but being in a small town, especially in the fall, football is a large part of just kind of everybody's lives in some way, because it's sometimes the only thing really going on. And so Friday nights can get pretty crazy. And so we just wanted to make a little podcast, just sharing some of our perspectives and kind of a way for us to kind of spend some time together. Maybe that's my desire more than anything, being the oldest brother. But we're going to go through and kind of introduce ourselves here. And give a little bit of our football playing and coaching background, because some of us in this are currently players, some of us are coaching, some of us are more maybe on the fan side. But my name's Carter Christensen. I am a middle school teacher at Royal Middle School, and I coach football at Royal High School. So I'm an assistant coach, help with the offensive and defensive lines. I call plays for the JV on offense, and then help coordinate special teams for the varsity. And so being at a small school, you kind of have to take on a lot of jobs. And then I'm also sort of the tech specialist for the team, because not a lot of other coaches really know how to use the tech. Sometimes you got to help them turn on their phones and stuff like that. Bless their hearts. It's a sweet bunch, but we make do. Luckily, they know football and I know tech, so it works out pretty well. But we'll kind of go around the horn here with the rest of the guys here with me on the call. So, Dad, we'll pass it over to you. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your coaching and playing background with football or with anything.
I'm Larry. I'm the dad of 5 boys, 1 girl, but the 5 boys on this podcast. I grew up in Royal, graduated in 1988, played football, basketball, and baseball. My coaching experience basically is just grade kid. Just love the program and excited to talk more about it.
All right, cool. Thanks, Dad. So our other brother Chase, he couldn't hop on the call tonight. So we'll pass on to the next brother, Corbin. Go ahead.
My name's Corbin Christensen, the third brother of this bunch. I kind of carry the weight of the spectator side in this group, although I do have a little bit of management experience currently. Fantasy League, eyeing down a 5-3 season right now, and looking to jump into the latter half of the season strong. Yeah, I'm thankful to be from Royal, where football is a big deal. It's shaped my life. I was part of what I would say kind of the pioneers of the state championship in Royal. So looking forward to giving my take here. Don't do any coaching, just like I said, just spectating, but I'm sure I can add to this.
Yeah, no, we definitely need a perspective of somebody. I mean, I don't want to say has been, but I don't know if intramural flag football is definitely
by all means
to make the cut. But yeah, like Corbin, what year did you graduate? Tell us a little bit about the state championship runs you were a part of.
Yeah, class of 2018. So technically, I guess my football season were 15, 16, 17. Was able to be a part of the first three-peat. Well, I don't know if it was the first three-peat in history, but
it was first three-peat for Royal. Yeah, it was 2015, 16, and 17.
Yeah, so played wide receiver and defensive back all 3 years and loved it.
Yep, and won 3 championships in a row, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, awesome. We'll pass it on to Caleb, which is the next brother in line. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your football experience.
Perfect. I am Caleb Christensen. I'm just younger than Corbin, but recently I was picked most likely to win in a fight out of all the brothers.
Self-picked?
Yeah, we won't say who voted on that. I played football at Royal High School as well for 4 years. I was a part of one state championship that Corbin, his team won. I was just a freshman. I didn't play at all. And then I was able to be a part of another one when I was a junior. And then my senior year of high school was COVID, the 2021 season. So I played from 2018 to 2021, but had a great career, had a lot of really good teammates, and kind of carried on a little bit of what Corbin and his teammates started. And then after I went to Whitworth University in Spokane for 1 season and played there. Left for 2 years and then came back, and I actually transferred to Central Washington University. And that's where I am now, playing quarterback.
Awesome. Cool. So Caleb brings a little bit of that, I mean, having played perspective, but, currently playing right now, played a little D3, went on a mission to New Mexico for a couple years, and now is playing D2 football. I guess, it doesn't really have anything to do with football, but, my dad, Corbin, and I, we also served 2-year missions after high school, so maybe that might get mentioned a little bit here and there. We kind of all went to different places. But so some more playing experience we have here on the podcast would be Cash, the youngest brother. So Cash, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your football playing experience.
I'm in 7th grade. I play quarterback because the normal quarterback broke his elbow. And on defense, I play corner, except for the last game, I played middle linebacker.
Yeah, so your team... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And we went 2-4 this last season. It's not my fault, though. I was out there being a dog.
Being a dog. So, Cash, you're the youngest. I'm the oldest. What's the age gap between us? Let the people at home know.
17 years.
17-year age gap. And so I'm a 7th and 8th grade teacher, so I actually have Cash in 3 of my classes this year, which is pretty fun for me. I get to see him every day. But their season just wrapped up, so we have another a little bit of playing experience from a middle school perspective, high school perspective, college perspective, and then actually middle school coaching. Our other brother Chase was one of Cash's coaches this last season. So
I have a question. Is Cash a dog in the classroom as
Cash
well?
a dog in the classroom. He's good. He does well in the classroom. Classroom, you don't need to have necessarily that dog mentality. Sometimes you gotta have a
Corbin
mentality and be
so
quiet.
that's pretty true.
None of you guys did.
So we didn't get it for anybody, that's for sure.
What was the combined GPA? If we take me out of this, I don't know if it cracked 3. If we take Dad out of it, then maybe it went up a little bit, but I don't know necessarily. Are we counting college GPA? That's the real thing. How's yours, Corbin?
Can't count college.
Can't count college GPA.
This is not a college.
We don't need to bring this up because if Mom listens to this, she'll be really mad.
Mm-hmm.
If we start bringing up college GPA, she's going to be not happy. She might be listening in the other room. So, anyways, yeah, that's kind of our coaching and our playing perspective on the different levels of football that we're involved in or we've been involved in. But I don't know. I think I can speak for all of us saying that there's just something about small town high school football, whether you're watching it from afar on YouTube or NFHS and all the technology we have now. And so, or whether you're right there on the sideline or whether you're watching kids, grandkids, uncles, cousins, whatever it may be. Not really watching your uncles a lot play, except for Cash. He'll be an uncle here in the next couple weeks, which is exciting. So my daughter, I guess, will get to watch her Uncle Cash play football, which is kind of crazy to think about. Anyways, that's totally aside from things. But we hopefully want to bring a little bit of our perspective, share a little bit about some different topics that we think about. So kind of for our first episode here, we wanted to talk about building a winning team. And so obviously we've all been a part of some winning teams. I think mostly like a lot of us, played in Royal, so at the high school level. But I think we've all been on the end of some losses and different things. And so kind of the getting into the perspectives that do that. So first off, sort of the foundation of a winning team. I open this up to anybody here, but what do you think are some qualities that make up a strong team? And that can be, technical things from like coaching to playing or character things. What do you guys think? I guess Corbin and Caleb that maybe have played at a little bit higher level. What's the foundation of a strong team?
Caleb looked like he was about to speak.
Yeah, you can go first if you want, or I can
Yeah, I'd
start.
love to. Common goal, excuse me, vision. I think that you can't reach a point that you want to get to without having a point that you want to get to. Not a dumb statement, but you really have to have a goal and a benchmark kind of in mind to be able to hit. So whether that's, a high school football team who wants to improve from last year's 6 wins to this year's 8, or if it's, the best football team in the country, right? You've got the University of Oregon who wants to win a national championship. If your whole team isn't focused and doesn't accept the goal of hitting, your highest potential or whatever it may be, just improving whatever it is, then you're not going to. So I would say a common goal, common vision.
Okay, cool. Caleb, what were you going to say?
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think being unified in what you're trying to accomplish. I think one thing that sets like Royal City apart or Royal High School is consistency in that when you're Cash's age or when you're younger, you already have this common goal. You already have this common belief. You're with everybody. You're learning all the same things, and that just feeds up. Whereas if you go to a bigger school or if you play in college, you get people from all these different backgrounds, all different kinds of beliefs, all different things that they've done. And it's a little bit harder to unify people. But at Royal High School, everybody's already been unified for so long. And I think that contributes a lot to the success. And so I think what Corbin said is spot on.
Yeah, kind of having that common goal. No, I definitely agree with that. I think coming from, the perspective of like the JV thing, it's not that there's not a lot to play for, but like those underclassmen teams, and you guys can testify to that a little bit because you guys played at those levels, but it's not like there's a JV state championship. It's not like there's a JV league championship. It's just winning your games. And sometimes that's the common goal. It's just win, like one game at a time, one play at a time. Sometimes it's just improving, and you can kind of build that attitude in people, which I think is big. Cash, what do you think for your team this year? Like what did you guys ever talk about having any like specific goals as a team?
Not really.
Interesting. What was your record again?
2-4.
Huh. I wonder if that now.
Case in point. Case in
Blame
point.
your
Case in
coach.
point. There we go. Turns out you have to have a common goal. No, I definitely agree with that. I think that common goal is really big, like the vision for things. And sometimes that's really big. I don't know. I've always wondered what it would be like. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but
Please.
I don't know. Like football-wise, I don't think I've ever been in a position where like it was just totally hopeless. Like even JV-wise, like last year we played Chiawana's JV, and they're like 4 times the size of us, like school-wise, not physically-wise. And we knew it was probably going to be a pretty uphill battle to try and win, but we only lost by like 2 touchdowns or something, or 3 touchdowns. Like it wasn't crazy. But just that perspective, like, how do you find that in moments where you're like, dude, we've got no shot at even winning this. Like, what do we do? How do you find the positives in that? And I don't know if any of us can really speak to that personally, but I think it's important to try and find those. That's like a big thing. What do you think from like a technical perspective as far as like putting a team together? What does it take to build a strong team? Like whether that be strategy, position. Corbin, what do you think most important position on the field is?
And most important position on the field. Wide receiver.
There we go. That's what we thought. Can't score without the receiver, huh?
You can't. No, you need somebody to put the ball in the end zone. Just kidding. I mean, this is a good question for Caleb.
Yeah.
I'd say quarterback's most important position on the field, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, it all ties back into like that vision, and I think a big part of it is the commonality of it. Everybody has to be kind of convinced together. It can't just be like one guy, but that's why I think the quarterback would be important, is because it's one guy that everybody can rally around. If your QB's down, I mean, we're seeing it right now. Anthony Richardson kind of gave up on him, right? Like,
just like took off in the middle of the game.
Yeah, he said, "Hey, I'm out. Pull me out, coach." And it's not like they're going to try to convince him to go back in. It's all right. Let's get Flacco in there, who knows what he wants to do and is going to give us put us in the best win. That'll tell you how important the quarterback is. But, I don't know. I think leadership, I guess, if you wanted a common theme, is important. Strategy is extremely important. I think you can out-strategize anybody and beat them. But yeah, once again, leadership and having a common vision is going to be your carry.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah,
I think
oh, go ahead, Dad.
an understanding of roles is important. I mean, obviously, there's different positions on the field or on the court, whatever it may be. But you talk about who's the most important. Obviously, the quarterback is kind of in charge and runs the show. Whether he's the most important remains to be seen. It just depends on plays, and everybody has to understand that. I think when you get into trouble is when certain people want to do their own thing or do things their certain way that isn't the going towards the goal of the entire team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think, I don't know, we probably all tend to like think about the offensive side of the ball a little more when we're talking about stuff, because nobody even thought to say anything like on the defensive side being important at all. But I think I see that a lot with when you're just coaching like the D-line and linebackers and just trying to control gaps and stuff, defending the run. But you see guys overrun plays like a backside end or something, or an outside backer, and trying to run way across the whole, the box or whatever, and play like 3 gaps over, and then they've left their gap open. It's like sometimes, trying to do too much doesn't help either. It's like you kind of have to know your role and what you need to do, and to do the best that you can be in that role, and then trust the guys next to you to be able to make a play, which is sometimes difficult. But I forget what I was going to say. I was going to say something else, but who knows? I'm spacing.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Yeah.
Stay in your lane.
Exactly right. Stay in your gap. Like, don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I should. The guy was running over here. I need to run way over here. And you see it on film a lot of times. You're like, okay, yeah. But if you would have just stayed there, if everybody just does their job, like, it works, right? But sometimes you see guys doing too much that throws it off.
For sure. And I don't know if it's as big of a determining factor. Like, trust isn't going to win you championships, right? But, I mean, trusting the guy next to you, that he knows his role and he's going to do his thing. And then you just got to take care of yours. That's another big one, which a lot ties into that. But,
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of things, like Corbin said, you can out-strategize anyone. But I think, like, you get on the coaching side of the ball and you try to strategize and do different things, and you really start to realize it's like, oh, man, if we just have really good players, pretty much any of my strategies will look pretty nice. Not any of them. There's some that are, like, really stupid that might not work at all. But if you just have the dudes, man, it sure makes coaching a lot easier. So, anyways, foundation of a winning team, I think it's kind of just having a common goal. Let's continue on here. So kind of our second part of this are the things we can learn from losses, so lessons from losses. We want to talk a little bit about how losses or even setbacks, maybe not even losing necessarily, but maybe some setbacks.
Did you want me to check out for this part and come back after? Or
yeah. Maybe get a lesson in humility, Corbin. I guess you didn't lose for all of your high. Neither of you guys did. So that's actually a fun fact. Corbin and Caleb, both never lost as starters.
We did lose. I'm coming off a 2-game, like I mentioned fantasy football earlier, 2-game losing streak. So I can touch on that and our last intramural game that you had to bring up. We lost as well. So.
That's too bad. I did hear about that. That sucks. We will discuss that. I'd love to hear a little bit about, because I used to be an intramural referee when I was at BYU, and then I was a program coordinator, so I kind of helped run the show. So flag football, and that's coming up in the Olympics. I'm kind of excited for that because I have some knowledge on that just from having reffed it and coordinated it for so long. There's some cool rules. Yeah, we'll see how it works. It's going to be cool. But so maybe not necessarily losses when we talk about this, but there's different setbacks and things that happen. Maybe you didn't play the best you could have played. Maybe you didn't get playing time. I don't know. You threw a couple picks, you dropped a few balls. There's a situation I'd love to talk to Corbin about, as far as not to dog on him, but dropping balls. There was a game, I think your junior year or something, where you struggled a little bit in the first half. So you went and played Connell, which is our big, I don't want to know if is our big rival anymore. It still kind of is, but was our big rival, like big time. And especially when Corbin and I were in high school, they were good, we were good. The games were always close. And I think this was a game on the road, Corbin. You guys went down there, and I watched the film of it when I was doing write-ups over the summer to, starting the season. And you dropped, they were some good balls. Just probably would have scored on them like 3 or 4, maybe dropped a pick even, and then got burnt burnt toast,
Yeah.
and they scored, I think,
So
in that first
Right.
half. So tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, I mean, if we want to go into detail, ran a hitch and go, dropped, backside post, dropped, probably both for touchdowns, and then I had a slant where against cover zero, no high safety, and I dropped it as well. But if I would have outrun some kids, probably would have been another touchdown. So, and then got the only touchdown that was ever scored on me in high school.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter, but really tough first half. Everything coming together. Probably my worst game of all time. But if we want to talk about it, let's talk about it.
Well, I'd like to talk about the second half, because the second half was sort of the redemption story. And this is a good Connell team. Like, you guys went on to play these guys in the finals. Like, they were good.
Right.
This was a midseason, league matchup between the two best teams in the state, really. You had that struggle in the first half going in, and this is your first year, like, full-time starting on the offensive side. What were your thoughts, like, going into halftime?
I cried, actually.
Yeah.
Not to admit any weakness, but
That happens.
I cried. No, I was pretty upset with myself for sure. And it's funny looking back, because I'm good friends with a lot of the kids we were playing against, but like, I hated these kids when we were in high school, and I just really wanted to beat them. I guess we were technically ranked. We might have even been ranked behind them like that year to begin going into the game, but it was clear 1 and 2, and I played a big role on the team. So I felt a lot of like pressure to perform that game, and I just wasn't. So anyways, going into halftime, was pretty upset. Knew that I had gotten a lot of opportunities and probably wasn't going to get as many in the second half. So it was kind of a make or break for myself sitting in the locker room. I was like, all right, is it time to roll over, give up, or should we strap this thing back on, get back out there? And obviously decided the latter, and went out and did great. So I had a good time second half.
Yeah. Do you remember your stat line for second half?
Not the exact line, but had 2 touchdowns and 2 picks in the second half.
Yeah. And then a pick, I mean, within the last, I think, 30 seconds of the game to ice the game in the end zone too.
A 50-yard touchdown and a 70-yard touchdown and a pick in the last second.
Yeah, so I'm pulling it up
I
here.
seem to remember, Corbin, and maybe you do and can share a little of this conversation with coaches at some point during that game.
I don't remember a conversation with coaches.
As I recall, you said something about you went to Jeremy and said, just pull me out. I can't do it. Or maybe we can edit this out because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
No, that could have happened. I mean,
as I recall, because I think I remember you telling me this, you were so frustrated and said something to Jeremy like, I just put someone else in. I'm not doing well enough or something. And Jeremy basically just said, you're the man. You can do it. Get your butt out there and do it, kind of thing. But,
yeah, I feel like I have enough mental fortitude, and I don't know if I did back then, but I don't care about that. Maybe I wiped that from my memory, but honestly, yeah, now that you say it, maybe I did do something like that, but came back and
that out.
figured it out. No, that's great. I think, yeah, I probably did something like that.
Well, I would say that's always been one of Corbin's strengths and that's all of you guys. You're even keel. You don't get low lows or high highs. You've always bounced back from mistakes and done well after things that if you were a weaker person would annihilate you.
Yeah.
Because that was tough. I remember calling Mom at halftime. Mom was sick, so she stayed home. I called her at halftime like, something's wrong with Corbin. This is so out of character. It's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that was the only game I ever took ibuprofen before until state championship my senior year. So who knows?
Interesting.
That. But I think learning from losses then, and like what Dad said, I think don't let your highs get too high. Don't let your lows get too low. Just, stay in it. I think that's a lesson to be learned from that game. And I've looked back on that, in athletics and even in life a little bit. That's a fond memory for me. Is you're never out of it until you say you're out of it, until you take yourself out of it. So just keep rolling, learn from the losses and get back into it.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with that. Stats-wise, you finished with 3 catches for 113 yards, 2 touchdowns, and you also intercepted 2 passes.
3 catches.
3 catches in the second half for 113. So pretty good game. You guys won by 7, so kind of made the difference in the second half. And then you went on to play that same team in the finals. And then I remember you scored a touchdown in the third or fourth quarter to go ahead and to win state title. Better. Yeah, that was a little better of a game. That was fun. I remember going to that one. Quite the game.
I'm curious to hear Caleb's take on these things too. What do you do?
Yeah.
After mistakes, or how do you learn from losses or mistakes?
Yeah, Caleb, what do you feel like you're I don't know, give us an example of a game where you just weren't playing well or you weren't feeling it or something, like some setbacks you might have had. If there are any.
That game hasn't existed.
Yeah. I don't know about that. That's not true.
Caleb example. In the state championship of 2019, after Lyndon Christian scored with like 2 minutes left to go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time was left, but they kicked off.
3 minutes and 14 seconds.
Yeah, it was like 3 minutes. Yeah.
Caleb knows. They kicked off to us, and I mean, it's a wet, rainy day. Caleb's first pass, he throws in the dirt to Cooper. I mean, it was a bad throw. And to Cooper, who was relatively open. I mean, that's one of those you completed the whole game. And I remember looking at Caleb, and Caleb just tapped his chest like that was my fault. And I remember just thinking, okay, he's dialed in. He knows these mistakes just happen. Goes right past it. It wasn't like a rant. Oh crap, I suck, or it wasn't no excuses. It was just, hey, my bad. That's not going to happen again. And I think, like Corbin, you are the same way. It's mistakes happen. Keep rolling. Stay on the positive side. Keep things going downhill. And of course, 2 plays later, you throw the touchdown to Aldo to go ahead and win the game, kind of thing. So I always wonder how you keep yourselves in that mental focus of mistakes happen. Let's keep going. If there's anything in particular that you do. Do you remember that play, Caleb, and doing that?
Yeah, I do remember that play. It was like I could tell you that play. We're an empty set, and Cooper ran a slant. It was 2 slants and a bubble, and they were just in a zone coverage, and we just kind of read that outside backer out there, and he jumped the bubble. So I threw it to Cooper, and it was a wet day. The ball was wet. The whole day was just not fun to throw the ball. We ended up throwing the ball 35 or 36 times, a bunch of times in the game. But I threw that one in the dirt. And it was weird because the whole game we were winning. I mean, we were in control until those last 3 minutes. And they scored a couple touchdowns in just a span of 2 minutes and took the lead. And it's easy to say, like, oh man, like I wasn't panicked, but that's not true at all. I mean, you're freaking out, down by 3 with just a couple minutes left in the state championship. We just kind of have to act cool or act like it's not that much. And so I threw the ball in the dirt, and I knew if like I started to panic, then everybody else would start to panic. So I just kind of pretended like whatever, like that happens. But now you're facing 2nd and 10 from your own 30, and that's not an easy down and distance with that much time left. We were fortunate the next play we threw the touchdown to win. So I think it just kind of comes like a little bit of just fake it. Nothing good comes from having a bad attitude. So
yeah, from freaking out. A situation I think of, Caleb, is I remember because those seasons I was watching from kind of afar, right? So like watching on YouTube and stuff when I would get the chance. But your first game against Ellensburg, because it was like, okay, we know Caleb was really good on JV, and then he goes in this first game on Ellensburg, and I'm at Grandma and Grandpa's house, and we're watching it on YouTube, and you got sacked like 6 times in the first half. I think you didn't have a touchdown. You threw a pick, but like it got tipped at the line. It wasn't like it was a bad throw. Like it just got tipped and landed in the linebacker's hands. How'd you feel after that first half of your first start?
Yeah, that was such a weird game because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know how good they were going to be, and we didn't know how good we were going to be.
Yeah, you
That
guys
was
had
the
like
first time we'd
15 new starters
come
or
off a
something,
loss. Yeah, everybody had graduated the year before. We came off a loss in the playoffs. So we were kind of unsure if maybe that was the end of us being good or if we were going to be good. In the first half, we just played like we'd never really like played together before. It was pretty out of sorts. I don't remember a ton of that game. I remember a lot of the plays, but I don't remember a lot of going in at halftime or anything like that. But the first drive of the second half, we got to 3rd and 10, and on the first play, so first 2 plays we get nothing. So it's 3rd and 10 now. We had a horrible first half, and so it's like crap. Here we go again. But I threw a little pass on the left side. We caught it. We went quick, hurry up, threw another pass on the left side, then threw a pass on the right side that scored a touchdown. And so I think just getting a couple quick throws, building momentum. But I'm trying to remember. I don't remember being panicked or really scared going into halftime. I remember being frustrated, but
Yeah, but just
I
kind
wish I
of
had a better recollection.
another situation of those where it's like, oh, I'm not getting too high, too low. I'm just like, it is what it is. I know what I'm about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I think from like what you were saying, Caleb, like a coach's perspective too, is you really have to try to be even keeled when things are melting down. Like I saw this thing on Twitter the other day where it was talking about somebody was like, momentum in games like isn't real. There's no like evidence that it's real. And then everybody who was like, well, if you've ever played, you know that it's a real thing. And I think a lot of that, like sideline wise, managing emotions can definitely help that momentum. And sometimes it is like bringing a little bit more energy. Like it gets quiet. Like I don't know if you guys have experienced that when you're in the game, but like you get a couple punches to the face back to back, and it's like, whoa! All of a sudden your sideline's dead, and you're like, oh crap! Got to get these guys going a little bit.
Oh yeah. Whoever said momentum isn't a thing.
Yeah, hasn't played before or coached before.
Pardon my language. You're dumb.
Pretty dumb. No, but I think it's kind of, it's as far as being too high, too low, you have to be wound to that right tension. That's a term I know Jeremy talks to us about before every game, with the players, right? Like you can't be wound too tight and you can't be way too loose. You just have to be to that right tension. I think it goes the same thing, like right tension emotionally and mentally and physically. And that kind of helps you deal with those setbacks. I know for me, like a big setback. So these guys won a bunch of state championships. When I was a senior, we lost in the finals, and that was like a big thing for me. It still is in a certain way, and I think all wounds heal with time a little bit.
Not that one.
Not that one though. That one doesn't. We still hate them. No, a little bit. I mean, we were 13-0. We were favored in the game, and then we just kind of laid an egg, and it happens. It sucks for it to happen in that situation, but I think for me, coaching-wise, like I've thought a lot about that and just the different things that went into it, and it's sometimes it's not your day, and you just kind of have to, pick up and keep battling. And I hope that hasn't influenced my entire life to where I made all of my life's decisions to where I am now because of that game. But if it did, it was pretty fortunate to lose that game, because now I'm back here in an awesome career that I love. I'm married. We're having a baby. Like my life's never been better. So if it took us losing the state final, I'm sorry to all my teammates. If that's what had to happen for my life to be really good now, I'll take it. But I think every lesson or every loss and setback and different things that happen is you can learn things from it, and if you treat it that way, it can be a pretty positive thing. So anybody got anything else on that one?
Cash, you're coming up with some losses now.
Yeah, Cash.
What?
So you guys, Cash, you played Othello. Well, it's McFarland Middle School, but it's the Othello Middle School. You guys you played them twice. You lost to them the first time around by what? 3 touchdowns?
2.
2 touchdowns, okay? And you played them the second time around. Tell us a little bit about the game.
We won 24-13. I threw a touchdown.
Nice.
But then I also threw a pick 6 on the second to last play of the game.
You had to let them go out on a good note. You knew they were going to lose, so you had to let them have something nice to take home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think the difference was?
I don't know if
Oh, well, go ahead, Caleb.
Cash, I don't know if he knows this, but when I was his age, when I was in 7th grade, we also went 2-4.
Oh boy, that bodes well,
So-
huh?
2-4 to 13-0 is juniors.
That's what it takes, huh?
Mhm.
But what did you learn from the first loss to
Sorry,
Othello,
Cash.
that helped you out, the second time around?
That they were way bigger than we thought they were gonna be, and I don't know. I don't really remember the first time we played them.
Okay, you just wiped that from your memory.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you need to do, especially when you're playing a team around the second time. Just fleshing those mistakes a little bit and being like, all right, this is a new game, new us, new year, new me, right? Kind of like that.
It was. I don't know that I could pinpoint exactly what the difference was, but they definitely played with more confidence. I think they were just kind of slapped in the mouth so quick that first time they played them, they couldn't recover during the course of the game. But second time, the contain on the outside was completely different, and that just gave them the confidence to tackle and hold them off, and then they knew they could score in return, and worked out well. It was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, that was a fun one. And middle school games go so fast too that it's like, man, it's hard to recover in time when you do kind of get punched in the mouth a little bit. Because I coached middle school for a couple of years, and man, those things go by in half a second. Definitely true.
And linebacker play is just, it's just huge in those games. And
Yeah,
the switch,
especially your
one of the
outside backers. When you have your
Middle
middle backer blitzing, going A gap and making plays on their quarterback, it works out pretty well, huh, Cash?
Yeah.
Yeah, something light.
It was just
Yeah.
a dog out there.
Just a dog at middle backer. Yeah,
No.
that's what I'm talking about.
No.
All right, well, we'll wrap up here with our last little segment. Just something quick, but see what we get from guys here. If you have any advice, pregame rituals. So, do you guys have any pregame rituals currently? Did you have any in high school? Cash, Dad, Corbin, Caleb, pregame rituals. What do you got? So it could be foods you eat, could be clothes you wear. Something, maybe superstitions you might have. Think about it for a second.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have a ritual. In basketball my senior year, I listened to headlines by Drake before every game. That was the only thing. In football, stay loose. I got tacos typically the day of the game. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
On lunch.
Mm.
But no, just
Were there any particular clothes you had to wear, or any processes that you just had to go through? Anything like that?
no, just get ready for the game. Just
Just get ready.
just be ready to go mentally. Like get all the we would show up to the game, a couple hours before, throw some routes, me and the quarterback, and then we'd go in, we'd get all ready, taped up, you name it, get back out there just before game time and warm up. But shut off my phone. I wouldn't be on. Some guys would be on their phone like right up before the game, but I'd be off my phone, kind of everything else out, and be ready to go at game time mentally, like not worrying about anything else. That's about the only thing. I did stay away from pills except for the one game where we
Jeez, purposely didn't take like ibuprofen or anything before games, except for a couple times.
I think by my senior year, because I was hurt, I was taking ibuprofen. But like that one game, I took like some circulation. It was cold and I have bad circulation, so I took some weird fish oil or something. I can't remember. That messed with me. I stayed away from that.
Really? Best you couldn't.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Not
catch.
good.
Fish
I
oil.
put the fish oil on my
Yes.
hands and it was
We're gonna
slippery.
have to-
Yeah, no, I had the fish oil running through
I
me.
oiled up my hands. Some idiot told me to do that. I had to put oil on my ankle and then I didn't wash it off my hands. I couldn't catch the ball. I know for me, like coaching wise, I don't know if I get like really, maybe not nervous, but anxious and stuff on the sideline. So always having like something to chew on. So if we're playing on a grass field, I always bring sunflower seeds. We'll just be munching on the sunflower seeds. And then on turf, which happens a lot because we play on a turf field, bring like peanut M&Ms or gum or Skittles and stuff. And then for the varsity game, pretty much all the assistant coaches bring some type of little candy or something. And the players are always looking for you later in the game. Like, do you have candy? What do you got? And so this year I got blue Skittles every game. But you guys definitely know some of the assistant coaches that always have the candy in Royal.
Oh, yeah. Blue Skittles feel right. That feels good.
The blue Skittles are good. They're the best ones, I think. I had the smoothie ones a couple weeks ago. They were nasty.
Blue's not tropical.
Blue's the tropical.
Tropical, okay.
Yeah,
No,
our kicker / wide receiver got me on to those ones. He said, get those, they're the best, and they're good.
Yeah, so they've got what, lime? Is there guava?
I don't know. I'm not that in-depth with it.
Okay.
Yeah, let me break down all the colors of the Skittles.
You're not too stitious. I mean,
I'm just a little stitious.
Just a little
Not super
stitious.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I don't know what you guys like. Do you believe Corbin believes in this look sharp, play sharp?
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yes.
Gotta be drippy. Caleb saying yes, which might surprise our mother.
No.
There's Caleb,
I think this question highlights a lot of the differences in the brothers.
Yeah. In what way?
Corbin just how, I mean, like, Corbin explains his pregame rituals, and it like couldn't be more different than like what I did.
What did you do? Well, walk us through it. You're just sitting here listening.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I had to wear the same thing to school every day, like every Friday, not every day. Mom probably thinks that, but every Friday I had to wear the same sweatshirt and the same pants the whole season.
Did you wash them?
You can ask Mom. I don't know.
I don't know how anything. I've never washed anything, so you can ask Mom if they got washed.
Yeah, I just put stuff in this one spot, and it always comes back clean.
You gotta see this. There's it's magic. Anyways, continue. So you wore the same stuff to school.
Anyways, yeah. So I wore that. I'd wear the same thing for every game. I had this black undershirt that I wore for every game. Same tights, Corbin's old tights. Probably a black undershirt that was like Carter's from his freshman year, or something that I just found in a closet.
Yep.
A towel that was Corbin's. The same cleats. I wore the same cleats for 2 years. By the end, they just had holes in them, and they barely even had spikes on the bottom.
That's right. You weren't running it too much.
This is funny.
I wasn't a little stitious. He was superstitious.
Yeah, he was.
Caleb was like, I had to turn the light switch on and off 3 times every time I went in and out of a room. I had to wash my hands constantly. We're like, oh yeah, that's superstition for sure. There's not anything else going on.
This is funny because I tried to wear something different for every single game. So this is the exact opposite.
Corbin went different for every single game. Yeah. I feel like for me, coaching, I always try to find something, like if it's cold, I'm like, okay, I got to have warm stuff. Like that's the big thing. And then like the past couple of years, we've gotten like cool, like coaching things that actually look like official instead of just like what's the like most random Royal hoodie I can put on. But I feel like as a coaching staff, we're probably the least organized. Nobody's ever wearing the same thing. But
someone's got a 2004 Scout Champ sweater.
I think the Central Washington coaching staff's right there with you. They're never wearing the same thing either.
No.
It's good. I don't know. It's good. We're not worried about that. We're not practicing what we're gonna wear.
Anything is fine until you guys start pulling out this girls softball coach shorts, like cargo shorts and short sleeve hoodies. Like until then,
the short sleeve hoodies. We have our little short sleeve pullover things. I like those. They're not quite Bill Belichick.
Nice.
Don't pair it.
Don't pair it with cargo shorts.
Yeah, just don't pair it.
How does Jason Kelsey put it? I don't come to play dress up. I come to play football.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good quote right there.
Yeah. Cash, any pregame rituals?
No.
Nope. Just play the game.
He's just a ball player.
Yeah.
A ball player.
Just play the game.
I guess on rituals, I'm sure I had some. I don't remember a lot of details, but I do think it's good, and especially if it puts you in the right mindset, gives you a little confidence. You feel like, okay, these things have clicked into place for me to perform. And so I do think there's good in that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's like just to keep you grounded in a sense, right? Of like, okay, the moment isn't bigger than me or bigger than like my preparation and stuff. And so just those little things that remind you like kind of still who you are and that it's not, it's not the end of the world, right? They kind of keep you moving on that for sure. And that's probably the biggest thing on it as far as maybe not superstitions, but those things that sort of keep you grounded. So. All right. Well, that probably brings us to the end here. We appreciate people tuning in. If anybody did, hopefully we got a couple listeners or two. In our next episode, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of rivalry games. So we touched on those a little bit, some of our rivalry games, but we're going to talk about the things that go into a rivalry game, what that means for small towns, kind of how you get yourself pumped up or wind yourself to the right tension in some ways, and then talk a little bit about some of our craziest rivalry stories. So make sure to tune in next week when we talk a little bit about rivalries. But thanks, guys. We'll probably, I don't know, post some stuff on social media, maybe get things moving a little bit. Anything to say before we wrap up, guys? Okay.
Nope.
I got nothing.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, we'll see everybody next week. Thanks.